Good morning. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Morning at NTV. My name is Gistin. It's time to discuss coffee. I was just telling Kate here that the discussion about coffee is just everywhere. And joining me to talk this and so much more is Kate Airey, the Britain's High Commissioner at Uganda. Did I get your name right?
It's perfect.
Oh, great. And also, the person I have in studio is Doreen Rweihangwe, the Acting Director, Quality and Regulatory Services at the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Doreen, good morning. Good to have you. All right, let's start this discussion. What's Arabica coffee? What's the difference? All we know is coffee, but this time around we seem to be focusing on Arabica coffee as a specialty, type. What's this Arabica coffee that we are seeing now?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to all viewers. Yes, Uganda produces two types of coffee. We produce Arabica coffee and we produce Robusta coffee. In this competition that we're having with the United Kingdom, we are promoting Arabica coffee. Arabica coffee is coffee grown at high altitudes in the highlands of Uganda, which we have in the east, that is Mount Elgon, in the west, Mount Rwenzori, in the south, Mount Muhavura, and in the north, the highlands of Zombo and Paida. So that is the coffee we are promoting this time, because it produces high-end specialty coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I can bring in Ambassador Kate, someone would ask, why are you focusing on Arabica coffee? What's the importance of this competition? Why now?
Well, you know, agriculture, as you know, really is the backbone of Uganda's economy. You know, and we've identified Specialty Arabica coffee, as Doreen says, as a real area of huge potential. So Ugandan growers, really coffee growers, have been specialising in Arabica for a number of years now, and it's really growing in popularity in the UK as a brand. Yeah. But unfortunately, Ugandan coffee isn't getting the profile in my country that it deserves, in my view. So it's really, you know, somewhere to start, I think. And one of the things that's really attractive about Arabica coffee is that, as Doreen has said, it's a speciality brand. And I think it's a way of sort of opening the door to a higher value, higher crop that's going to generate a bigger income for farmers. And I really do see this expanding into other areas. You know, there are speciality Robusta blends as well, which we're really interested in. And then the broader agricultural piece for us. You know, I'm really minded that that sort of 70% of the Ugandan workforce is in some way involved in agriculture. Yeah. And so, you know, Arabica coffee for us walks us into the agro-processing space, where we need to be able to create value and value jobs here in Uganda for our young people coming through. So we start with coffee, we sort of build sustainable growth going forward. I mean, one of the astonishing things for me is by 2040, you know, Uganda's going to need to create 1 million jobs a year. Yeah. We can't do that. It's tough, right? And we can't do it without agriculture, and we can't do it without a transformation in agriculture.
And you know, Kate, when you talk about unemployment in Uganda, that's a huge wound that we're struggling with. But I'll go back to Doreen. Did you involve the stakeholders? And in particular about the farmer. Did you involve them? If you did, what's the response?
Thank you very much for that question. We involved the stakeholders as Uganda Coffee Development Authority. We are in this with the British High Commission in Uganda and the Uganda High Commission in the UK. We had meetings, and we had a breakfast meeting here in Kampala where we called every stakeholder to come and listen in to what the UK market is there for us.
What did they say?
And from there we called for the samples. We had a very overwhelming submission of samples. We got 50 samples from the producers. And these samples are the ones which have been in the competition, and they are going to culminate into the 6 best specialty samples for promotion.
Is it something they've received with open hands?
Yes. Okay. There was an overwhelming sampling and submission of samples, and this is like we have not seen before, because we've been doing annual competitions, but people have been slow because the competitions sometimes are not pegged on a market. But here there is a market which wants the coffee. Everyone wants to participate and get their coffees to that market.
Kate, we've been growing coffee, and if I keep wondering, after all these years, why are we not succeeding on the UK shelves? Where is the issue?
So this is what we looked at, because we agreed, right? As I came here, I sampled the coffee, you know, both, you know, Robusta as well as the Arabica, And this is beautiful coffee grown in Uganda, right? I mean, I might be a little partial, but it is, you know, I think it's really, really high quality, really special coffee. So we looked at this and thought, well, exactly, why aren't we seeing more on the UK shelves? And I think it really goes down to sort of three key areas, and this is our message. So firstly is around publicity. You actually have to drive a market. You have to make sure that you've built a unique brand for Uganda in the UK. And other growers, other countries have done that. But Uganda, in my country, hasn't quite got over that line yet. And I think this is something that the coffee competition, working together, like I say, it's a real partnership between Ugandan High Commission in London, us here in Kampala, UCDA and coffee growers. And one of the prizes from this competition will be support around branding specifically for the UK market. So that's really important for us. The second bit actually is around productivity. So, you know, it's not just that increased publicity that you need, but actually improving sort of productivity across all of the agro-processing sectors. And this is the piece for me, whereas Arabica is a good and simpler place to start because it's established here. But I really want to see this as we call it sort of like the thin end of the wedge that we can expand and expand and expand to get more Ugandan products on UK shelves. And really getting small Ugandan smallholder coffee growers part of this process, as Doreen says, really linking them with a very high-end market. You know, if you look in terms of the income you can achieve, if you move into the speciality brand, you are literally looking at 6 to 7 times your income per kilogram of coffee produced. The final bit, and this sounds always a bit nerdy and a bit boring to people, but it's around consistency and it's around standards. And standards may seem one of those things that, you know, do we have to bother? It's a lot of tick box exercises. Can I work my way around that somehow? But actually, standards matter to international markets. You can't access them without standards.
You know, when you talk about standards, I'm inclined to bring in Doreen, because for a farmer, like we said, they will say, can't I just trade my coffee, even when I don't do that here and there? You know, Ugandans, we love, you know, simplifying our way out. But it might go back to the authority to have to put these farmers on the spot and tell them, look, if you don't follow the international standards, you will not get anywhere. Doreen, is the authority doing enough to make sure that the farmers understand how important these standards are if they're to get the market they cry for on the international scene?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. The farmers are following the standards, because there is no coffee that moves out of this country that is not evaluated, that is not analyzed, that is not authorized to go. And this, all the information that we get at the export, we relay it back to the producers. If they fail in a certain standard, we have to go back and train them how to meet the standard. So all these coffees that have been passed, that are going to be in this competition, have passed the standard. And the standard is regulated, is instituted by Uganda Coffee Development Authority. We have standards for green bean coffee, we have standards for export coffees, we have standards for roast and ground coffee, we are developing standards for soluble coffee.
When we talk about standards, and according to what Doreen says, it seems like we're okay. But Kate, how much trade is there between Uganda and UK?
So I think, I mean, just to sort of build on what Doreen said on standards, you see, what's interesting to me is I agree with trade at the moment has those standards, but I think there's a piece here for farmers, especially small growers, actually, to see standards not as a barrier, as something, you know, that's difficult to do, but actually something that's going to support productivity. There are actually very, very simple things you can do that automatically raise standards, particularly in coffee, but actually across the whole of agriculture. You know, key areas often around drying and post-harvesting, and it's something that we're looking at. But, you know, for us, Ugandan trade just isn't big enough, right? And so if we look at it, there were just sort of 64 million pounds of imports.
64 million
pounds, yeah, of imports into the UK from Uganda at the moment. And, you know, the bit for me is, you know, you're going to ask me why that trade is so small, right?
That's what I'm going to say.
And I agree. I think the piece of me is that I like to see this in terms of there is clearly a huge amount of potential. and that one of my jobs here has got to be supporting that growth in trade into the UK. So starting with coffee, I mean, there's a huge political will behind this, where my Prime Minister Boris Johnson met His Excellency President Museveni at the Africa Investment Summit.
Did he sing some coffee?
Well, he went better than that, I think. So back in January 2020, before the COVID pandemic, and they had a commitment between the two of them that we would see more Ugandan products on UK supermarket shelves. And I am here to deliver on that commitment for Ugandan growers, for Ugandan farmers.
That's why we'll be happy to have you on the show over and over. But Doreen, if we are to talk the numbers, how much does Uganda export to the UK?
Thank you very much. Uganda exports very little coffee to the UK. Yeah, and it's not that we do not export to the European bloc. We do export, and it's the major importer of our coffee is EU. But unfortunately, we do not take a lot of coffee to the UK. That is why we have come out with this deliberate effort to speak to the British High Commission and our High Commission, Uganda High Commission in London is also there on the ground to speak to the roasters, to the buyers, to buy Ugandan coffee. So that is why we have to do this.
Kate, I'll bring you on this. You know, Ugandans and competitions, we always look to the final bit. What's the price?
So I think, you know, the piece of it is the big prize, the big strategic prize, is this point about, you know, having a, you know, the UK market is growing, actually. We're becoming a really big market of discerning coffee drinkers, prepared to pay a premium for the best coffees. And the big prize is a big share of that market for Ugandan coffee growers. But to do that, what we want to do is it's rather than handing over money as part of this prize, we're actually going to hand over a package of a branding exercise to the winner, where we're going to stay with that company for the duration, making sure we're supporting them with the right networks, the right contacts, the right branding, the right exposure to get them onto supermarket shelves. And greatly ease their struggle into the UK market. What we know is that where one person leads, where one brand leads, others can then follow.
Right, yes.
So, you know, I think I've sort of seen lots of this process, and Doreen and she's had to put up with me trying to do some of the cupping and some of the testing of this coffee. I realise I'm not an expert, I thought I was. But what you can see is just, I think, that kind of speciality brand. And actually, you know, both, you know, we start with Arabica, but it's also on that speciality Robusta. There's room in the UK market for both of these products.
In fact, that was going to be my next question, that what will you target other markets with pretty much a similar intervention? Are we looking at that? You know, to carry the same energy like we are carrying to the UK now for all these other markets?
So I think what we would love to do is look at how effective this is as a strategy.
How this works out.
Work with our partners, you know, look at what's working, what isn't working of that. And then absolutely, you know, the sky is the limit for me. But I think what's really clear about this is that, you know, whilst we are very fortunate to have excellent partners in UCDA, to be able to have really good partners in coffee growers here in Uganda, you know, I'm actually hoping that this competition kind of ignites the imagination of many different sort of growers and sectors in Uganda, that, you know, that not looking to sort of us to you know, drive these initiatives, but actually remembering that golden formula, right? If you have ideas about publicity, if you've got clear kind of productivity opportunities, and you've got that standards, that piece to be able to say, okay, I know I can meet international standards, then, well, if you've got those things, then my job here is to empower you to do what you need to do as a grower, as a sector leader, to get your products, you know, into international markets, including mine in the UK.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Now, Doreen, is this going to be happening on an annual basis? What's this competition in particular?
Thank you very much. And you asked a question to Ambassador Kate, which I also want to speak about. Yeah, sure. We are not only promoting coffee in the UK market, we are promoting coffee worldwide. And we are using our embassies to promote our coffees in all where we have missions. We've done, last week we did a webinar with the Saudi Embassy, and we had a capping here at Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also in Riyadh. They are trying to make our coffee to enter the Saudi market.
Okay.
We are also at the Dubai Expo. We are promoting coffee, and as you heard from the president, he said that on the Ugandan stand, the beverage for the expo should be coffee. So we are trying to put that in order and to take coffee to the Dubai Expo.
I'll check you. How often are we going to have this competition?
The competitions are annual, because every year we have 2 seasons, and from those 2 seasons we have output from them. So that coffee comes out, and then we have to cap it and then send it to different destinations.
All right, Doreen and Kate, now we have to conclude this. The last time you were here, you were saying Ugandans are still not drinking the coffee. Has anything improved? Or are we still not drinking the coffee?
So I think, like you, I think there's a buzz around coffee. I think we're starting to see that sort of,
you know, the buzz is there.
The buzz
can
is
be felt by everyone.
And we're going to have a little look at the data as it comes through. But for us, you know, let's have Ugandan coffee drunk here in Uganda, drunk in the region, and then drunk in the UK.
Because everyone that drinks the coffee then becomes an ambassador.
Exactly.
Is that your parting shot?
Absolutely.
All right, Doreen, your parting shot?
My parting shot is the same. We should drink coffee and promote our coffee. Because as we move to produce 20 million bags by 2025, we need a lot of markets, and the first market should be the internal market.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen and Kate, for making the time. I'll put out a disclaimer. My design and Kate's design are 2 different people. I don't know how this happened, but we also just fought ourselves.